How's it going? Hello.
Hello.
And welcome. Welcome, everybody, to episode 79 of Brews Less Traveled, a podcast exploring the best craft beer scenes across the U.S. I'm your host, Brian, and once again, I am joined by our wonderful co-host for the San Diego-focused episodes, Mike Birch. Mike, how's it going?
Hello, Brian. It's going really well. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here with you this month, and it's been a whirlwind of fun activities we've had every week. We've had a really good time, and I hope to come back and do it again in the future.
Yes, a whirlwind, as some would say.
Whirlwind for sure.
Yes.
And we've enjoyed great beers.
We have enjoyed great beers. We have another great beer to enjoy. San Diego's a wonderful place, and we're definitely going to talk more about it tonight. And yeah,
I don't know if it's been brought up before, but I love the theme music to the podcast.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't know. I said thank you.
Did you write that?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. No.
It's good. It's like I'm grooving before the show.
It certainly gets me in the mood. I like the musical choices that we put together with our marketing team. Our marketing team does great things like, getting us wonderful flyers like that and preparing the stickers from the breweries that we send to our wonderful beer club subscribers. And speaking of music, we have some great music for the 12 Beers of Christmas and Hoppy Hanukkah events that we have coming up. That music always gets me in the mood too for the holidays, holiday beers, talking beer.
Right.
19 days of straight live streams. It's gonna be fun.
Every day we're doing a live stream.
Every day we'll have a live stream from the first night of Hanukkah, which I believe is the 18th of December, all the way to the 12th day after Christmas, which is January 5th.
That's
so all the way through. Yeah. We got some killer breweries we're featuring. Awesome stuff. So head over to brewvana.com to check out that stuff. Gonna be a lot of fun. As we mentioned earlier this month, great breweries in there, including our friends at Equilibrium in Middletown, New York, and our good Brews Less Traveled friends at Good Life Brewing Company up in Bend, Oregon, amongst a litany of other great breweries and beers, a variety of beer styles. We're going to have, sour beers, lager beers, hoppy beers, and we're going to have great guests like we have a great guest tonight. So
very good. Looking forward to that for sure.
That's my segue there. We got a great episode tonight. We're closing out our month of San Diego, our San Diego month, with one more beer from our friends at Abnormal. We kicked off the month with them and they're coming back around again.
Right. Let's go ahead and crack that final beer. This is the Abnormal Blonde Ale, a light drinking beer. It's 4% alcohol. It's made with nugget and citra hops, and should be clean and crisp and easy to drink. So let's get that in a glass here.
Yeah, full transparency. I just got back from the climbing gym like a half an hour ago, and I feel like this is the best post workout that I could have.
Well, cheers, everyone. Happy holidays.
Yeah, we're getting there, huh? We're in the official holiday season. We have eclipsed Thanksgiving. We are now officially in the holidays.
Right on. Yeah, I like this. It's got nice sweet flavor to it, almost like a Helles lager, but it's a blonde ale. So
yeah, a little bit more bite than a Helles lager. Nice orange, citrusy, pithy character coming from the citra hops. Certainly. Oh boy, I'm disappointed. This is the only one I have of these.
It's delightful. Very nice. And I hope we're enjoying it out there on the live stream as well. This is I hope is there a beer club for December?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
So in addition to all these holiday live streams, we're also going to have Brews Less Traveled continues next month in a new city. And I look forward to seeing what that city will be.
If we tally them all up, it's going to be 23 live streams from your friends at Brewvana all throughout December.
Fantastic.
I mean,
I'm glad to be a small part of it.
Yeah. And I mean, I and nothing's official, but I could see a way that you could come back for some of those live streams. You joined us for the wonderful New Year's Eve stream last year.
That's right.
The illustrious Brewvana game show. It may come back.
I made a comeback at the end. I did not end up winning, but the beginning, there's some questions that people just got freaked by my answers. I forget what they were, but they were disturbing, I guess. Well, I'm glad I don't remember what they were, because it was upsetting to people. But I stand by them. I don't know if these are recorded. It was just live at the time, so I don't know what if you can't find that anywhere.
You can find those videos on YouTube, Mike. So nothing on the internet dies. It all lives forever.
Well, if I do one of the December live streams, I'll make sure I go back and do my research on my own weird answers.
Great. Well, let's bring on our guest. We got a great
idea
guest tonight. We're super excited. Hopefully he can bail us out of this, whatever this talk is.
We're doing fine.
He's the manager at Burgeon Beer. He's on the board of directors for the San Diego Brewers Guild, and he's an instructor for the Business of Craft Beer program at San Diego State University. Please welcome our guest this evening, Jake Nunes.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, Jake.
Glad to be here tonight. Thank you.
We're very happy to have you. I'm excited to get into this talk, but as always, we get started with our quick sip questions here at Brews Less Traveled. These are fast questions, fast answers that'll help us get to know you fast. Some fun questions we have to get started here. Jake, are you ready?
Fun. Let's do it.
Okay. Favorite beer not made in San Diego?
Top of my head, I'd say Black Tuesday from the brewery in Placentia, California.
Good, quick answer. Very nice. Can't go wrong with the brewery.
Heck yeah. First job in the industry?
Carl Strauss, 2003 at their brewery gardens in Sorrento Valley.
Wow. Favorite movie featuring San Diego?
Anchorman.
Okay. Yeah, can't go wrong there. San Diego, near the beach. Do you skate or do you surf?
Never done either. I was big into basketball for a long time.
Okay.
We'll accept that answer.
All right. It's an outdoor sport. Can be.
Yeah. And then finally, our favorite quick sip question here. Have you ever seen a UFO? A ghost? Bigfoot? Any kind of cryptid?
Yeah, I've maybe seen some unexplained things in the sky, but I definitely think that there are other intelligent life out there.
There you go.
Okay.
That was probably our best quick questions session this month. Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, let's get to let's talk about your experience, if you don't mind. I mean, you said you started at Carl Strauss at 2003, so you really were ahead of the beer wave, as it were, craft beer wave. And you worked at Ballast Point, is that right? And also at Stone, Green Flash, North Park, which was one of our guests this month, and Societe, which is a really nice brewery. And now you're at Burgeon Brewing. So you've watched the scene evolve over the last 20 years. There's so much we could talk about. Let's start at the beginning. So what led you to pursue that career in craft beer?
So I had started working in restaurants in like 94, and I worked my way up to a bartender position. And being who I am, I wanted to have like a well-rounded knowledge of the products that I was selling. And I tried out spirits and wine, and it didn't really pull me in. And I started getting interested in beer, and I started trying some beers from Carl Strauss, which is the oldest current beer company in San Diego. I think they opened in 89. And I think the Amber Lager and the Red Trolley are beers that kind of pulled me in. And I got an opportunity to start waiting tables there. And when I came in, I was like the beer guy, just because I had read some books and I was excited about beer. And and I knew the IPA story, so everybody was stoked on me at the time. Now it's a hotly debated topic if there's any truth behind that or not. But I loved beer, and Carl Strauss was like one of, if not the only beer company in San Diego that was kind of doing the things that I was into.
Neato.
That's great. Yeah, I imagine it's like that meme from The Simpsons where they all turn around and tell Bart, say the phrase. They're like, tell the IPA story.
Yeah.
So let's talk more about San Diego beer scene overall. It's evolved so much over the past 2-3 decades, so much influence on a national scale. As a craft beer enthusiast and somebody working in the industry over these past 2 decades, what makes the scene so special in your opinion?
I think it revolves around the people. I think there are a lot of talented and passionate people in San Diego. Like some people say that the water hardness makes hoppy beers taste better, but I really feel like it's about the passionate people in San Diego that really drive the industry here.
It makes good sense. For sure. Now, these list of breweries obviously is impressively varied. Are there other constant patterns that you see at those breweries, or the different sizes of the breweries that led them to success? Do you think? Or I know some of them grew faster than others.
Some of them had growth in the plan, and some of them were happy kind of being the neighborhood beer pub.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the variety of the experience that I've had in the past. Everybody kind of does their thing a little bit different, but the same. And I feel blessed and lucky that I feel like I've worked at some of the best breweries in San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, those are the biggest names. Like you seem like you'd be the person to talk to about San Diego beer history. And so, what about Ballast Point? When did you work over there? That was certainly one of my favorites over the years, especially at that when they were the San Diego was just so dominant on the scene.
I actually worked for them for 2 terms. First time was in 2010.
Oh, okay.
And that was my first and only like production side beer job. So I worked as a production assistant. I did a lot of keg washing and keg filling, and I worked on the bottling line. This is like before cans were big in craft beer. So I was working a bottling line of some old like RC Cola bottler. And we had to do the 22-ounce bombers on like a little Maheen, and a lot of that stuff was done by hand back in the day, like labeling the bottles and packing the cases and all that stuff. A lot of it was done by hand. When I was lucky, I got to drive around the forklift and stuff and dry hop. But the brewery back then was very small. At the time, Sculpin was like kind of on the level of Pliny the Elder, and like its following of is very like small and cult and like huge reputation. And one of my like favorite craft beer moments was getting to drink some Sculpin off the Bright Tank. That just like blew my mind at the time, and I was like, I'm gonna work in this industry forever. And so far that's been the case.
I used to really love Victory at Sea.
Oh yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite all time.
One of the best beers. And so what so you left there before they became like super big. I mean, I feel like they really got big quickly. Like went from like you say that being that rare Sculpin beer, and then it was everywhere.
Yeah. I think the first time I worked for them, I want to say their annual production was like close to 30,000 barrels a year. And then the second time I started working for them, it was over 100,000 barrels a year.
Oh, that's fast.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
That's some growth.
Yeah.
So that's funny you mentioned, you did the kind of the back of house stint at Ballast Point, and everything else has kind of been front of house. What do you think are some things that front of house and taproom environment and staff could learn from the processes and systems that happen behind the scenes in the brew house and on the packaging line?
They're two like totally different job descriptions. I think working like on the production side of beer, it's a lot of physical labor. I learned pretty quickly that I needed to like buy a yoga ball so I could stretch out my back every day because I come home all tense and tight, and I needed to stretch it out just to make it through the day. It's hard work, and usually the pay is not as good as front of the house, so there's a little bit of tension between the brewery side and the front of the house side just because of tips. And I mean, working in the front of the house, I feel has been where I gravitate because of my people skills and stuff. And it's also hard work. It's a different kind of work. It's still physical, like you're on your feet all day and running around and stuff, but you also have to have a smile on your face while you're doing it, where in the brewery you can be, cursing at your coworkers and being grumpy and still do a good job.
That was me. I've been a back of house guy most of my life, and was a cook and a chef. So yeah, you could throw plates against the wall and stuff like that. So.
Yeah,
you don't have to be too friendly.
I remember my favorite back of house moment. I remember I watched an angry manager throw 3 full sink wells of dishes out into the parking lot at a restaurant because he couldn't find a slotted spoon. And then when I moved into front of house and like guest experiences, it was like, oh yeah, this is a different world. You can't freak. Nobody can. You can't let anybody freak out like that. Where is slotted spoon? That is a formative memory. But anyways, you mentioned already you worked at Stone, when they were growing so rapidly and really leading craft beer nationally in many ways. What was the environment like at Stone during that time?
I think at the time, like Stone was such a rock star. They were like Greg Cook was such an outspoken like beer patriot at the time. And I think Stone played such a huge role in the progression of craft beer in general. And like they really did push the envelope all the time and made beers that nobody else was making, and kind of like wrote the book on some styles, and super important to the craft beer scene at the time.
What were you doing there? What was your job at Stone?
I was the bar manager for their bistro in Escondido, the World Bistro and Gardens.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah,
I mean that's a big job. It must have been very popular, very busy. Oh man,
yeah, very huge place. I've worked at very few jobs that did the kind of volume that Stone did at the time.
Yeah. Oh man,
imagine.
That was certainly my favorite brewery for a long time. But just Stone IPA was, I would just tell people this is the best IPA in the world.
Yeah,
you can't.
I was a big Brew Nation guy.
Yeah, Brew Nation,
and a huge Imperial Russian Stout guy too.
Oh yeah, yeah. They did it all. They did it all at Stone.
Yeah,
you guys were heroes.
Chocovesa, yeah. I mean that was a big one for me.
And still doing it.
Yeah. Still influential in many ways. Dang, I had a thread there and just completely. You mentioned in a discussion we had earlier that you've met a bunch of celebrities while working in craft beer. Was that at the big Stone facility or was that at other places?
Yeah, a few of them were at Stone for sure. Both like beer celebrities and like mainstream like entertainment celebrities. I was stoked to meet Will Wheaton because we did.
That's right. You collaborated on a beer, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
I also got to meet Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed.
Nice.
And you let me do the Predator handshake with him. The
meme. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that was great. Man, I got to meet Sam Calagione and Jean Van Roy there, which are huge beer influential guys. Garrett Oliver there too, like guys that blew my mind because I was such a huge beer nerd at the time, and everybody's like, who's that?
Sam,
right.
At the time, most people didn't know.
Sam is one of the nicest, coolest people I've ever had the pleasure of meeting in the industry. Bought around for the entire pub whenever we were all hanging out. It was a work thing, but then he kind of, unbuttoned his shirt and had a good time and like really was giving of his time when you could tell like he was really busy. And yeah, like I did meet Garrett. Oliver. I at Fresh Fest this year. Not Fresh Fest, Barrel and Flow, what they call it now.
Okay.
I was wearing a Rage Against the Machine shirt, and he was like, "Nice shirt," and I was like, "Oh, nice everything you've done, sir. It's wonderful to meet you."
Yeah, I kind of clammed up when I met him, and I said, "Sir, like the brewmaster's table changed my life," and he's like, "Oh, thank you," and I handed him a beer, and that was the best part of my day for sure.
If you all don't know, Garrett Oliver is the brewmaster from Brooklyn Brewery, and Sam is the
founder
of.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Brian to finish my sentence.
Oh, I was gonna let you flounder. No, Sam's the founder of Dogfish Head.
Very good, thank you.
And the star of the shortly lived Discovery show Brewmasters.
Right. Brewmasters.
Oh yeah, I have that on DVD.
No way.
Yeah.
Of course you do. That's great.
Let's take a beer break. The final beer break, to be exact. More on that in a second. But first, a quick announcement. Starting next week, we'll be moving to a Friday release schedule. We'll now be recording and releasing our episodes in the same week, providing fresher content in this media landscape that moves a mile a minute. Now, about the beer breaks. We've had a lot of fun doing these, but they are kind of the last remnant of our former host. And nothing against the beer breaks. They're just not really Laura and my thing. So we're going to take things in a different direction. Starting next week, the fun and interesting content that you would normally find here in the beer break will now be sprinkled throughout the main show, giving us more opportunities to learn about these cities from the people that know them best, the locals. So while we're sorry to say goodbye to the beer break, we're excited to bring our beer break content into the main show, and we hope you are too. For one last time, let's get some fun facts into the beer break. Did you know that 90% of all avocado farming in America is done in California? And 60% of California's avocados are grown in San Diego County. So thanks, San Diego, for beer and avocados. Now, let's get back to the show.
And what about now? You're at San Diego State University, and you have a beer program. Now, a lot of colleges don't have beer program. I know the list is growing, but you've been there for 10 years. Is that right?
That's right. It'll be 10 years in a few months.
And can you tell us a little bit about the program and what that entails and how it's evolved over the last decade?
Absolutely. So the official title is the Business of Craft Beer certificate program. So it goes through the extended studies, so you don't have to be a student of the university to take these classes.
Okay.
Now the campus is called SDSU World Campus, but they are more like business focused courses in the world of craft beer. So not so much like brewing and brewing science and stuff, but more like hospitality, sales, marketing, distribution, brewery startup, draft maintenance, and draft systems in general. So a lot of different areas, and you can just take classes a la carte if you're interested in learning about certain things, or you can put together a body of work to earn a professional certificate. And there's a level 1 and a level 2.
And how is that like compared to like a Cicerone program?
So the Cicerone is like a certification that you can earn through testing, and the SDSU program is like in-person or online courses, and there's some overlap. Like you can learn things from the SDSU program that will help you in the Cicerone testing. But we do like in-person, like the classes that I teach are in-person beer tasting classes. So a bunch of students in a room, and I have a couple of assistants that help pour for students, and we talk about specific beer styles. And we'll bring out like a couple like good commercial examples, and we'll we'll examine them together, talk about the history, and do the tasting with the aroma, the appearance, the mouthfeel, the flavor, all that stuff. I'll set out a plate of kind of sensory ingredients to kind of help people zero in on what they're smelling and tasting, like fruits or herbs or spices or whatever, to kind of help people put their finger on what it is that they're experiencing with the beer.
Has that been the subject that you've connected with the most over these years teaching?
Yeah, being a front of the house guy, I'm big into kind of the guest experience and understanding how to describe flavor to people. I think is a very valuable thing to have in your tool belt.
Definitely. And just a quick shout out to Paul in the chat, graduate of the SDSU craft beer program, 2015 alumni. And shout out to Paul.
Awesome.
Look at that.
Cool.
Yeah. So your background's very focused on tap rooms and guest experiences. We talked a lot about that. What are some key factors that you think make for an authentic and exciting tap room environment?
I think I kind of have like a mission statement, like wherever I go. Like I think the ideal tap room experience is serving world-class beer through a well-maintained draft system into clean glassware and served by friendly and knowledgeable staff. And if you can nail all of those things, that's like the perfect experience. And being able to field different types of customers, like beer newbies and beer experts, and kind of using the same language with everybody, I think is really knocking it out of the park.
So simple, Brian. That's all that's it. We don't need gimmicks. We don't need goofy stuff on the wall.
Yeah, I think friendly, approachable
video games.
I'm huge on genuine service.
I love that.
I've worked at places way back in the day that kind of had like a script for you to follow, and you had to say the same thing to every guest, and you just kind of felt like a robot.
Yeah,
like I want my staff to be themselves and speak from their experience to help people find their favorite beer.
What role do you think training plays in that? You talked about the letting people have their natural, personality come through in that taproom experience. But what role does training play in that? They typically train for skill rather than attitude. So how can people in taprooms look to utilize those?
I feel like it's impossible to sell something that you're not experienced with or like passionate about. So I actually like require the staff to try the beers. We can get a new beer on tap like every other week, sometimes 2-3 beers every other week. And I ask them to sample it before they start their shift. Like, smell it, taste it, talk about it with everybody, kind of get the words they would use to describe it. A lot of people are intimidated by describing beer flavor. Yep. I tell people that you've been eating and drinking stuff your whole life. You what stuff smells like and tastes like by now. Sometimes it's hard to put your finger on it. That's why having like those kind of thoughtful conversations are helpful for you to be able to describe it to other people.
That's great. Yeah, when I worked in the tap room, that was really helpful to talk to the other members of the staff and say, well, what's your take on this beer and what's your take? And so you have different opinions to come from, especially if there's like 7 beers that just came on since the last time you worked. You're just starting a shift.
You just got back from vacation. You're like, I don't know any of these beers.
You don't want to necessarily want to put back all 7 right before your shift.
Right.
So it's good to have that feedback from your fellow employees. That's really great.
Who's got notes I can copy?
Right.
How about glassware? I know in the States we do a lot of pint glasses, because they're easy to stack. I just recently went to Belgium and every beer that I had its own glass, and they make sure that they have the shelf space to make that happen. I know the importance of cleanliness in the glass is the most important thing. How important do you think it is to have different glasses for different styles, if at all?
So you may recognize this. I don't know. There we go. I don't know if you can see it, but it's the Why is this so hard? Everything's backwards. It's the it's from the Russian River bottle.
Okay.
There we go.
I
It's
see it.
upside
Yeah.
down. But
Yeah.
I put it on my wrist, so when I hand someone a beer or shake their hand, we can start that conversation about proper glassware.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm such a huge hater of shaker pints. Like they were never meant for beer. They're cheap and they're stackable. That's why they're in bars everywhere. But they're terrible for beer. So of course, every every bar doesn't have unlimited shelf space. It's usually, the opposite. So it's good to find kind of universal glasses that work for a bunch of different styles. I'm a big fan of like the Willy Becker like shape.
Right.
Yeah,
I've got a few of those. Yeah.
But as a glass kind of tapers out, it supports a good head of foam, which is good for aromatics and stuff. And as a glass tapers in, it kind of locks those aromas into the glass. So when you bring it up to your nose, you can smell and therefore taste your beer better. So I think glassware does make a huge difference. And another thing I'm really strict about is stacking glassware. I hate to see beer glasses that are put inside of each other, because that friction over time will create scratches inside the glass. And anybody who's got stuff on their hands, they're touching the glass and that goes inside another glass. All those oils from your hands and food and whatever gets into another beer glass, and that just can really ruin the experience.
There you go. You're hearing it from the expert here, folks. I mean, glassware matters. Hashtag clean glass mafia. What is
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dirty
Proper-
glass mafia.
proper
yeah.
glassware? Dirty glass mafia.
Watch out, the DGM will get you. Don't
Oh,
post those
man.
pictures with bubbles all over your glass.
Oh, I know. I've seen people get raked across the coals for that. Yeah, on Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, usually 3 different types of glassware is pretty good. Like a snifter, a pint-ish glass, and maybe like a tall like Pilsner lager glass, or like if you do half pours, like a kind of a short pour glass, and that's probably pretty good.
There you
Maybe
go.
a tulip.
Yeah.
Right on. I love it.
Again, I had a thread, lost it.
And it
Well, we were talking about tap rooms, and what about yourself when you go out yourself? You go to a tap room for a night of drinking and fun. What kind of things do you look for? I mean, we talked a lot about it, but anything we might not have touched on if you go in, or what's something that just turns you off when you go to a tap room and you get the wrong experience?
Well, you already heard my turnoffs about glassware and like stacking and shaker pints and stuff. What I look for is, the kind of people that I described that I work with, like friendly and approachable and knowledgeable. I'm just looking for fun. Like, good beer, of course, is easier to find in San Diego than a lot of places. So I'm looking for that. But, nice atmosphere, something like kind of ties. I'm a big fan of Fall Brewing Company. I love the music. I love the kind of vibe there. Everybody's just kind of laid back. I think what I like about beer the most is, other than the beverage itself, is just the community and the people, the kind of people that go out for beer. Usually like really friendly and approachable and have fun talking about their experience. And like whenever beer has a story behind it, like the cooler the story, the more into it you can get and kind of have a memorable, more of a total experience than just sucking back SEDs.
That leads me to an interesting idea. What about people that don't drink beer? Because, obviously going to a beer bar, you're going to have beer, but sometimes you want to spend time with friends, or somebody, you bring your girlfriend or boyfriend and they're not into beer. What do you want to make sure that you have other alternatives in that regard?
Yeah, like everywhere that I work, I try to have something for everyone. Like I do believe that there are more people that would like beer if they gave it a shot, because there's so many different styles. I really feel like there's a beer style for everyone. But typically I try to carry cider and kombucha and wine and whatever at the places that I work. But I think having an open mind, like if you go to a beer place with your beer friends and you're not into beer, like maybe get a taster or something just to sample it. Something you've never had before. And a lot of wine drinkers like sour beers tend to be a good gateway beer.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of people are afraid of dark beer. They think that it's going to be so like roasty and bold, but I mean, hand somebody a Schwartz beer that's such an approachable style. Like it's super black in color, but it's like an easy drinking beer. So I think this beer gets a bad rap with a lot of people. IPAs, 15 years ago were such hot bombs, and they were known for trying to be as bitter as possible was kind of their target. But nowadays, West Coast IPAs are like so much more approachable, lower in bitterness, more tropical and stuff. And the haze craze, these hazy IPAs are much lower in bitterness, much more fruit juice forward. They're like really approachable beers, and people who haven't had an IPA in a long time, like they've changed a lot, and they're a lot more friendly than they were.
Yeah, I find that's the people that don't want to have a beer are the people that don't want to have that bitterness.
Yep.
Changing minds it's a noble pursuit. Get on board, folks. It's fun. Speaking of clean glassware, check out this glass. Look at that. Look at that lacing.
Yeah.
Oh, I clean that glass myself.
Awesome. I definitely have a dedicated beer sponge at home that only cleans beer glassware, and then it goes away in the cupboard so it doesn't get cross-contaminated by the regular stuff.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll start doing that.
That's great.
Your own select beer sponge. That is great. Because I put almost everything in the dishwasher, and then I just except the beer glasses and certain Teflon things or knives. All right, we're getting too personal now in my life.
La-di-da, Mr. Dishwasher haver.
Yeah. I've always had a dishwasher. Even though I lived in New York City, I had one like in
crazy.
The early 90s. We had a small apartment, but it had a dishwasher. It was like this tiny hole in the wall place. But yeah, I think we moved in 92. So I've had one since then.
I'm going on like 7 years without one, so I'm just bitter.
Really?
Yeah.
You gotta change that, Brian. You deserve a dishwasher, my friend.
Thank you for that. Tell my landlord. So, Jake, what is, other than craft beer, what is one thing you wished San Diego was more well known for?
That's a good question. Like anything or beverage wise?
Anything. Yeah. As a city, it's so much associated with craft beer and in the zoo and like surf culture, beach culture. What do you wish people thought of more when they thought of San Diego?
I think our cuisine is coming around. I got to say, like in my youth, like San Diego cuisine was kind of vanilla. But the last decade or so, they've made like huge strides, and like I feel like every year or so, there's like a couple more Michelin star restaurants in San Diego. So I think people are getting really serious about not only the craft beer in San Diego, but the food culture as well.
You know what I've noticed in San Diego? I've only really gone there as a tourist. 3 times I've spent time in San Diego, and every time I go there, even though it's the second largest city in California, it has a kind of a small town feel to it. Everything is sort of centralized. A lot of the main areas. I mean, I don't know where all these people are living. It must just stretch out a little bit more. I mean, it's a big place, but I always feel like it's got a really nice homey vibe, and it seems like a smaller town than it is.
I like, the San Diego is pretty spread out, and I like how all of the different neighborhoods kind of have their own flair, and they're a few miles away from each other, but like totally different scene in each neighborhood.
Right on.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Jake, thanks for joining us. Anything to plug as before we wrap up here?
Yes. So on Tuesday, we're selling tickets for our 6th anniversary invitational. This is our 6th anniversary coming up. It's on January 14th. It's a Saturday, and it's an invitational. So we'll have over 30 breweries from around the country actually pouring their beers. We haven't released the guest list yet, but they're always like top tier cool breweries. This year we have a retro 80s theme called it Deja Brew. And I was on board with Burgeon last year, and I got to work the event, and like such a cool event, like so many good people and great beers. And if I wasn't working for them, I would go every year as an attendee for sure. But tickets go on sale on Tuesday, December 6th, which I think will be probably before this podcast is ready for people to watch or listen to. So by the time you're hearing my voice, I think you should be able to buy tickets to our invitational on January 14th.
Perfect.
Most definitely. And where can people find those tickets?
You could go to our website, burgeonbeer.com, or hop on our Instagram at Burgeon Beer and follow the link tree to get tickets that way.
Heck yeah. Well, yeah, thanks again, Jake. Mike, final thoughts on San Diego as we close this out.
San Diego. Well, I like I said, great town. I've always enjoyed going there, and I hope to do some visits myself in the future. And I hope we can get some Brews Less Traveled up here in the middle of California. I'll put a plug for Fresno. I also have my glass here is from Worcester, Massachusetts, which is another Brews Less Traveled town, or should be. So there you go. I'll talk about other towns. Love San Diego though.
Yeah. Yeah, we're Brews Less Traveled over here, but we wouldn't have these less traveled cities if it weren't for places like San Diego and San Francisco and the Portlands and them kind of setting the stage and driving the scene for so many years and putting out the opportunities and laying the groundwork for these other small cities to really take shape. And yeah, San Diego has done so much. And I mean, I served stone beer at my wedding. I've had Ballast Point and Green Flash, Pallet Wrecker, and Arrogant Bastard, and all different crazy beers from San Diego throughout my life. So,
yeah. Still doing it now. I just got introduced to Societe, which is another place you worked. Beautiful beers. And is Belching Beaver, is that a San Diego brewery?
Yep, they're in North County, San Diego. Yeah, just
because I've been getting into them lately too. So, yeah,
cool. Quick story, if I have time.
Please, yeah, go ahead.
Please.
So, working at Society was during the onset of the pandemic, so that was kind of an interesting tour with those guys. But one thing that was cool, we did a virtual event with the staff from Netflix. So they actually reached out to us, and we did like a virtual brewery tour and like guided beer tasting, myself and the CEO of Society, Doug. And we did it over Zoom, and it was super fun. We like shipped out beer to a bunch of addresses of the employees of Netflix, and we had ourselves a little virtual beer tasting, and it was super fun.
Oh, fantastic.
That's pretty cool.
Mm.
Yeah, I had your anniversary beer this year. Delicious. It was a very strong beer as well. I think it was a triple IPA. Very good. Really enjoyed that. All right. Well, thanks, Brian, for having me on this month. It's been a blast.
Thanks for coming along, Mike.
Thank you both.
Oh, we're getting a question about any hints. We're going to get any hints for our December BLT City. Well,
trust the process, folks. You can find more from our featured brewery tonight at abnormalbeer.co. Shout out to all our featured San Diego breweries, Abnormal, North Park, and Pure Project. Shout out to our guests this month. Shout out to Mike, Laura, Ethan, and Glenn for holding it down while I jetted up to Boston for a wonderful work trip. You can find more from us at brewvana.com. Be sure to check out the holiday beer boxes, as the ordering cutoff is just days away when this comes out. Lots of fun coming in December, as Mike and I have already talked about, including our next featured BLT city. Nothing more than that. Excited for that. Very excited for that. That will not be the last reference of that kind. That is my favorite show, and we are just going to talk about that in Saul the whole month, and awesome beers from that wonderful town, Duke City. I'm just going to say the name of it. Excited for that. Until next time, everyone, stay safe, be kind, and support local breweries, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye, gang.
Thanks for watching Brews Less Traveled on YouTube. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more interviews with brewery professionals.